Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at uranium energy. It is time for another update, and today we will be looking at ideal targets that we can track in this additional extension to the downside, as well as the critical levels that must hold to keep the upside potential still alive. Now, before we get there, I would like to go quickly through the larger time frame for any of you who might be new. And here we are tracking this series of 3-1-2 setups that have formed, and now we are looking for a larger third wave that would be expected to form here to the upside. Now, within this wave 3, we do expect to form an impulse, and in that case, we do have a bit of a challenge with the structure that has developed to the upside so far, because I only have a couple of options to be tracking this movement as an impulse, where either we have a series of 1-2 setups that have formed over this area, and we are expecting with kind of unrealistic eyeglasses this movement, right? Because it is a bit unrealistic to form this many 1-2 setups and then still get a third wave to the upside. But yeah, for a direct movement in a wave 3 in this area, this needs to occur. And then we also have the other option, which is forming an initial larger wave 1 to the upside, which would be part of the larger wave 3. Yeah, it could be a 1, 2, 3, 4th, and a 5th. And then we could consider this an initial wave 1. We could be looking for a wave 2 correction, and then we can get the actual impulse to the upside in wave 3. Now, this can work out because the wave 1 can be a diagonal structure, but yeah, this is actually why we cannot track this movement as to the upside as the actual wave 3. Now, within this structure, we have been tracking both ideas, and we have both counts here on the chart, where in the white scenario we have it fully, but in the blue scenario we really are only focusing on this latest 1-2 setup, because if this gets invalidated, the blue scenario fails completely. So yeah, breaking below the 78.6% retracement in blue, the $10.6 level, would be a high signal that yeah, this is likely not going to happen, it's not going to work. And then breaking below the beginning of this wave 1 would be a complete invalidation for this scenario. And then we do also have the white interpretation, where we are tracking a 1, 2, 3, 4th, and the 5th, and this would be the leading diagonal, where in the wave 4 we expect to find support in the area between the $13.7 level, but the latest level of support is much below what we really have for the blue scenario. It's the $9 level at the 61.8% retracement. And in that case, as long as we hold above the $9 level, we can still track direct continuation to the upside, and this is expected in pretty much all scenarios that we are really focusing here on this chart, even within a more bearish, not forming a 5-wave move in a wave 1, even in a more bearish interpretation where this would be a wave C to the upside, we are still expecting additional, at least another high here in a 5th wave, even if afterwards we fall and crumble. This additional high is still expected. Now, internally in this correction, we have been tracking some ideas, and even in the previous video, the focus was still on lower prices, especially since we had only formed a 3-wave structure to the upside and we didn't hold the support for a 4th wave correction to form a clear 5-wave structure, which would suggest that the probabilities would suggest that we would be looking for an additional high. But yeah, this is pretty much a clear ABC structure that has formed, so the favor was still another low, and that was ideal and even better for the clarity of the chart, where if we form something like an ABC, we can look afterwards for an initial 5-wave structure, which would have increased probabilities for a trade setup, a very nice trade setup with good risk reward ratios. Also, we would be in the larger support zone once again, and yeah, it seems to be following that path. We were, however, also considering the possibility of an extension within the wave 3, but clearly, since we formed another low, this is no longer the case. I won't even be tracking the idea of a possible extension here within this wave 3 anymore. I will focus solely on this ABC, and I will be looking instead for the possibility of an entry in this area instead, where within the wave C we can look for an ideal target, which is the 100% extension of the wave A, and in this case it is the $11.6 level, very much in line with the 38.2% retracement, which is also the ideal target for a wave 4 correction here in the white scenario. Yeah, we have here the 38.2% retracement, we have here the 100% extension of the wave A. And then we have the 61.8% retracement, the golden ratio for the idea of the blue scenario, which is sitting slightly above those two levels. Now, in this wave C to the downside, if it really is going to form in a wave C, which does look likely at this point, yeah, it does seem to be an impulsive move forming here to the downside, we are looking for a 5-wave structure within which I'm considering this a quite extended wave 3, where in fact I don't even necessarily consider that we have already bottomed. Instead, I would consider this probably an additional 1, 2, 3, 4th, and the 5th, so we may have even an internal wave 3 that even at this point could still be ongoing. Yeah, I am considering a low possible, or a bottom here within this internal wave 3, but yeah, no confirmation there just yet. It hasn't passed enough time to really form anything reliable to the upside just yet, but I could argue that we may have here an internal 1, 2, and the 3rd wave down here, a 4th wave up, and the 5th down. Yeah, we could have a full wave 5 to the downside in this area, but then we could still find continuation lower. Yeah, I'm not calling a bottom here, but I also won't be really looking inside this time frame either, because it is too short of a time frame. The structures in such a time frame always fail, always morph, always shift, so there isn't much of a point really tracking those, and instead I would like to focus here on the larger time frame, where I'm looking to find resistance in this correction for a wave 4, which is assuming that, yeah, this is the area, assuming that we have already formed a bottom in the wave 3. If we move lower, we would need to also extend the area of resistance lower, but for now we are looking at the levels between the $12.9 all the way up to the $13.6 at the 50% retracement. Now, if we manage to actually break above the 50% retracement, that would actually be a pretty good indication that at least this structure to the downside would be done. Not a confirmation just yet, but it would be a good signal. A confirmation could come by forming an initial 5-wave structure to the upside that would be actually quite positive, because we would be looking afterwards for a 3-wave correction in a follow-up wave 2, so we could have a wave 1 up, a wave 2 down, and that would be an entry area of high interest. But yeah, for now we are still far away from those, and another way, yeah, I just wanted to point out that a way I could consider this correction complete in this area without forming these additional 4-5-4-5 patterns would be in the case of tracking this as a WXY correction, in which case this wave Y could be something like an ABC, and it could be done, or yeah, nearly done. We seem to still be extending lower at this point, yeah. But for now, these are the levels. This is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you want me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.